And with that, it's been some time since we've done some questions for the internet, so we can move to those questions.
Sounds good.
After hearing a story like that, it's always tough for me to remember that when you hear one story like that, you've got to remember that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of stories like that, of war and of leadership and of sacrifice. And if we don't do our damnedest to learn from those lessons and apply them, I question whether we even deserve to have this life.
Yeah, about this story, Beloved Captain.
Yes.
Like, that's such a clear demonstration on how to be, where these guys would follow this guy basically into fire. They could probably watch him walk into a pit of fire, and they'd all follow.
They did.
Yeah.
Think about it. They did. That's what World War I was.
Yeah.
Stand up, go, follow me, we're going to die.
Let's do this. Yeah. So if this guy's mere presence can make these other guys follow him like that, in these type of situations, like if more people would be like this guy, in normal life, I mean, it'd be a breeze to have people, listen to you and you guys get some stuff done.
And how much of the stuff that the beloved captain does is counterintuitive of what people think of a military guy. I mean, almost everything in there. He's admitting his mistakes. Yep. He's figuring out who's awkward and admitting to them that he's kind of messed up too. He's getting down on his knees and basically being almost submissive to his men in order to make sure that they're healthy. He's taking all the hard jobs. He's smiling and developing these strong relationships with his men. Like, every one of those things is almost counter to what people think a big tough military leader is.
The drill sergeant.
The drill sergeant leader. Like, no. And so I see people in the civilian sector that end up in the same way. They think that that's how you lead because they've seen it in a movie. And that is not that hyper aggressive mentality is ineffective with human beings. Yep. And actually there's a question here, so we'll probably talk about that some more. But that's why I always make it perfectly clear that I'm all about being aggressive. Mm-hmm. I'm all about being aggressive, but being aggressive towards your mission, not towards people. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless the person warrants aggressiveness, which does happen from time to time. Mm-hmm. That's called a fist fight. So.
Sure. You know that part you noted where his mere presence kind of not imposed but impacts their perspective, where Absolutely. it's basically him walking in to whatever the situation and them just kind of automatically, hey, what's he seeing,
right?
They're so just kind of into him.
Hey, let me move this weapon because it's in a bad spot. Let me pick up this stuff up over here. That is completely right. Right. I was on a ship one time and I thought I was about the commanding officer on a ship. There's something called the 1MC, which is basically a loudspeaker that goes throughout every portion of the ship. Everyone can hear it. And this commanding officer gets on the 1MC and he's going to make a speech, right? Because that's what commanding officers do sometimes. And he says, I thought he was going to make the most epic speech because he said, not the most epic, but I thought he was going to say something pretty powerful.
Sure.
He says, hey, when you see a piece of trash on the ship, and when I see a piece of trash, I thought he was going to say, when I see a piece of trash, man, I go and pick it up. And he said something along the lines of, when I see a piece of trash, I'm frustrated that nobody picked it up. And think about the impact of those two statements. If he said what I thought he was going to say, which is, hey, when I see a piece of trash on the floor, I go over and I pick it up and put it away or throw it away, and then I make sure there's no other trash in the area because I want this ship to shine. That's one thing. He said, hey, when I see a piece of trash on the ship, I get so frustrated that you aren't cleaning it up. And I was so let down that commanding officer said that of that ship. But to your point, if it's like the reason I thought of that is because you can see even when I've been in, the commander of a unit of some kind, and I would see when I walk in unexpected, there's like a change, and it's not always, sometimes I've seen it where the commander walks in and it's people are doing that because of fear. Right.
Yes,
and that's not
different.
That's not what we're looking for.
Yeah.
You want to say, oh, the boss is here. I don't want him to see that this is going on. We shouldn't be doing that. And you're right. That is a real powerful thought that he puts in here about how when the boss comes around, when the commander comes around, and it actually provides the troopers the ability to see what he's seeing and how powerful that is.
Bro, one time, Jada, I forget what he had to do this thing where it's like it was like a tense thing, and he was talking to Sarah about it, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave like right after that because I don't want to have to face like some awkwardness or something like that. And then kind of when Sarah left, I was like, hey, I'm going to tell Jocko that you're going to do that. And he's like, all like, he knew I was joking, but he was like, kind of like, what would you think about that? You're not even his boss, by the way, obviously. But it's kind of like that thing, like, hey, what would, like, you ever remember Commando?
Yeah, it's not, yeah, go ahead.
There's this part, right, where the story behind Commando is one of his guys, that he trained and stuff, went rogue, went bad, came back, and they thought he was dead, and he comes back and he helps,
great story.
Yeah, it's dope. Anyway, so this bad guy now, you could tell he still has all this admiration for his name is John Matrix.
For Arnold?
Yeah, for Arnold.
Okay.
Because he's walking around the compound that he's kind of like, and all these guys are like talking tough and stuff. So he goes to the other boss that he's now working with. He's all, it's funny to hear your men talk tough. It makes me laugh. If Matrix was here, he'd laugh too. Kind of like it's almost like him and Matrix are on the same team still. He knows how he would see that. It's kind of that same thing.
Presence. Awesome. So wrapping that rough transition. People want to support the podcast. How are they going to do it? Echo Charles.
Well, one way, the way I like to recommend, one of the many, is by supporting yourself at the same time. Onnit supplements and Warrior bars. Onnit.com/Jocko, get 10% off. Before this podcast, I'll make it short. Before this podcast, when I get a Shroom Tech, I didn't get 10% off. Now you can get 10% off. Or if you shop at Amazon, click through our websites is another way you can support the podcast. Click through our website's Amazon link.
Our websites, that's jockopodcast.com and jockostore.com. There's a little thing you can click on.
Yep, and you can support that way.
Does it cost you anything?
It doesn't cost
no,
you nothing.
It does not.
It barely costs you time. Barely. Really, the thing is remembering to go there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing.
A good solution to that.
Yes, which we do have now.
Little Trooper tool.
Trooper tool is what it's called. It's this cool little thing. And it's on the website as well. It says Trooper Tool Chrome Extension. Boom. Click on it. Puts a little icon on the top of your browser, and it automatically affiliates your Amazon experience with us. Support passively.
That's perfect.
Passively as opposed to actively. We don't do things passive here. No. It's aggressive.
Yes.
But it's not
passive.
Yeah. All right.
Passive means you didn't do anything. But we have troopers out there that are aggressively shopping on Amazon to support the podcast, and I dig that.
Yep. I read that sometimes. My friends on Twitter, they'll send me like a screenshot, boom, of their trooper tool or their little purchase. Like, hey, I bought this duct tape Here's my thing, and it's a screenshot.
Dope.
It really makes me feel empowered, and I'm not joking.
Well, it does help the podcast.
Yeah,
so
fully.
We appreciate it.
Fully. Subscribe to the podcast, of course, iTunes, and then on YouTube as well. I'm slowly putting more videos. I'll put a few and keep putting more. So you're not just stuck watching the podcast, which is cool too, by the way. If you're into watching it and listening, sometimes like people will put it on their screen as they work out, you know, so they can kind of watch, listen, work out, watch, listen. You know, it's a good little formula. Anyway, yeah, YouTube, it's a good one as well, and of course the Jocko store. If you like, you know, shirts and whatnot, coffee mugs, stickers, they're pretty cool. I've got some great feedback. One announcement. We have women's stuff coming out in about, a week or two. So, yeah.
All the female troopers.
Yep.
Who have been pressuring.
Strongly recommending, we'll say. Consistently strongly recommending. Yep. Yeah, they're good ones. I chose 3 colors. You're going to have to wait and see which ones they are. And when they do come out, give me more feedback. I want to narrow it down to the stuff that we all want. So yeah, go ahead and do that. JockoStore.com. There's some cool stuff. If you like it, boom. Get 1 or 2 or however many, and that supports as well.
And plus, that means I don't have to buy my wife anything.
Yeah, I'll just give her. Yeah, I'll send one home with you.
Podcast T-shirts.
That's actually one of the good reasons I like managing this stuff. I don't have to. Not that I really bought shirts that much anyway, but I have a bunch of shirts now.
Plus, maybe my daughters too.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so we're good.
Yep, good to go. Everybody's good to go.
Are they regular? Are they the same design, or is it something new?
They're more or less the same, but they're they're basically the women's version.
Okay.
Of what we got. I started with a discipline equals freedom. I might just do one for women because let's face it, like we all get after it in pretty much the same way, except for every once in a while, women get after it in a different way. Every once in a while, so it might be worth it to give them a little something different. Something special. Just my opinion. I don't know.
Awesome.
All right. There you go. That's the ways to support
that podcast, yeah, boy.